We're live. Welcome, everybody, to House Energy and Digital Infrastructure. It's Wednesday, April 8th, and we are here with Bella Scholl from the University of Vermont to hear about the study that she has done on CPACE programs across the country as we continue to consider S138. So I'm Representative Kathleen James from Manchester.
Campbell from St. John's, right?
Chris Morrow, Wyndham Windsor, Bennington.
Michael Southworth, Caledonia,
Christopher Halloran, Rutland Fuller.
Dara Torrey, Washington 2.
Graham Kleppner, Chittenden 13, Burlington.
Great, and joining us.
I'm Janie Gleason, intern for Brent Putnam.
Great.
Bridget McLaughlin, intern for Vermont,
Super.
Chris Delia, Vermont Bankers.
Great. Chris, do you want to sit or you just
I'm fine.
Okay, great. So for the record, if you could identify yourself, and we're anxious to hear about the work you've done.
Absolutely. Madam Chair, members of committee, I wanted to say thank you for inviting me to testify. My name is Bella Scholl. I'm a senior at the University of Vermont. I am a legislative intern for Senator Chittenden and a former student researcher for the Vermont Legislative Research Service. First, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what VLRS is and what we do there. It's a nonpartisan UVM program that receives research requests from legislators and delivers student-authored research reports. My testimony today will broadly focus on regional states' commercial property assessed clean energy or CPACE programs, as well as a brief review of alternative financing mechanisms offered in Vermont. Within my work at VLRS, I co-authored a report titled Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, Establishment Processes and Features. This report analyzed CPACE programs in 15 states, Maine, Connecticut, and New York. Our research focused on how these states implemented and administered CPACE programs, as well as exploring case studies of completed projects. I am happy to answer any questions throughout the testimony, and I would like to begin by briefly summarizing the research. So beginning with Maine, they authorized CPACE financing in 2021, and the program is overseen by the Efficiency Maine Trust. Within this trust, they established the Efficiency Maine Green Bank, which is a quasi-public financing entity which leverages public and private funds in pursuit of emissions reductions and clean energy improvement projects. The Maine legislature tasked the Efficiency Maine Green Bank with establishing program guidelines, reviewing applications, publicly listing registered capital providers, collecting fees to administer the program, and conducting an annual report. Registered capital providers refers to non-governmental lenders that fund CPACE projects within the state. Before entering financial agreements, these registered capital providers are required to demonstrate a willingness and capability to fund and service the loans, including performing all accounting, reporting, billing, and collection required for CPACE assessments. Under Maine's CPACE program, financing may cover the full cost of a project, including audits, application fees, and development costs. Funds are available following the completion of an assessment agreement, which includes the estimated useful life of the project. This metric demonstrates the length of the financing term and the feasibility of the project. Moving on to Connecticut.
Well, wait, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys want to stop and talk about Maine a little bit, or do you want to let her go through her testimony and?
Yeah, do you mind taking questions along the way?
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm probably the person on the committee who has the slowest pace of
Slowest pace.
comprehension and digestion.
Slowest pace.
Yeah,
What does
the
PACE
slowest
stand for?
I mean, we don't have to stop if everybody else
Oh,
totally understands Maine. I'm
Go ahead. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I have a question when you're done.
Okay. So, so is Efficiency Maine Trust? Could you talk a little bit about the Green Bank?
Yeah, so the Maine Green Bank, which is quasi-public, so it was created by the legislature within the establishment of their CPACE program, is basically like a government, I wouldn't say controlled, but created financing entity. A lot of states have green banks, and their focus is climate financing.
So I've heard about green banks. I know we've talked about, Dara, I feel like you know about green banks.
Well, we kind of have our own hodgepodge via the three Bond Bank,
Vita
Vita.
had,
So there wasn't an appetite for Green Bay.
yeah,
Okay, so we have various entities,
Yeah.
similar entities. All of which probably do some, all of which probably do some green financing, but it's not their sole vision. Okay, and then is Efficiency Main Trust, is that equivalent to Efficiency Vermont at all, or is it different?
Um,
Doesn't matter. Okay, so we have the Green Bank, they're working with the trust. And they are doing all of this sort of admin work on the CPACE. So they are basically the are they the third party administrator?
as the language in our bill states, they would be that third party administrator, yes.
Okay, because we've been kind of struggling with the concept of,
Yeah,
do we need a third, and we'll get to that, but do we need a third party administrator? Who would it be? Nobody wants to be it.
yeah, I think that would, oh, sorry.
well, and you, the way you described the registered capital providers to sound like they were administering loans,
Yes,
which I guess I thought was the role of the third party administrator in Vermont's version.
yeah, so under the way that Maine does the program, you've got the Efficiency Maine Trust, which is the quasi-public institution.
Yeah.
And then they approve registered capital providers, which
Oh.
would be our third party financer. And under their legislature, those third party capital providers are required to kind of oversee the loan and the process.
Okay, so
So
the efficiency trust is like approving providers. So they would approve Castle Green or some of these other
Yeah.
lenders we've heard from, or Vita, to be like, okay, you're approved to participate in this program, but then the lender itself, it sounds like, is doing the nitty gritty
The loan administrator.
loan administration.
Yeah, so their duties would include,
So that's the difference between Maine's approach and what Vermont's being, what being proposed in Vermont.
Yes, for the record, Chris Delia, Vermont Bankers Association. So Main Trust is our equivalent to Efficiency Vermont,
Okay,
and they are overseeing, as she just alluded to, the lenders that might participate in the program. The lenders actually do the underwriting and provide the financing to the borrowers.
Which is what the program administrator would be doing here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Depending on how you write it. Yeah.
in the bill as correct so far, right? Correct, yeah.
all right, so we have somebody basically approving lenders to be eligible to lend, but then we have the lender doing the administration, which is no longer third party, it would just be admin.
So that's good to clarify that before we get further.
Okay. I'm good with Maine. I think. So registered capital provider, that's the Castle Green in this scenario. And then they have. It's an energy, I'm just looking to see what kind of projects are eligible. So energy savings, which we have in ours, that's energy efficiency projects. And then, do you know, I don't want to put you on the spot. We're just finding our way through this topic. Do you know if Maine, so in our bill, there are three kinds of projects that would be eligible: energy efficiency, renewable energy, and resilience.
yes.
Do you know if Maine extends beyond energy efficiency into like renewable energy, like putting rooftop solar on, or?
As far as I know, I think under the energy efficiency, a lot of renewable energy projects
Okay.
are allowed.
Okay,
And thinking back to the case studies that we used in Maine, looking at examples of things that have been funded, we've got heating and cooling systems,
okay.
lighting systems. So I guess I don't have a direct example of solar, so I could not quite answer that aspect of the question.
Okay, I see your case studies though, so
I do know that as far as I'm concerned, and as of the end of 2025, New Hampshire is the only state that has added these resiliency
Resilience.
aspects to CPACE.
Okay. Great. Okay, Maine.
Okay, moving on to Connecticut, we're already. So Connecticut's CPACE program was authorized in 2011 and is administered at the state level by the Clean Energy Finance Investment Authority, or CFIA, which is another quasi-public agency. This authority was tasked with creating and financing a commercial energy program, developing financial guidelines, and using private and public sources for administrative support and financing. In Connecticut, municipal administration and financing is handled by the Connecticut Green Bank, which issues, fills, remits, and collects funds on such CPACE loans. Third-party lenders in the state are referred to as approved capital providers and have been approved by the Green Bank to provide funding, as well as entering into an administrative agreement between the lender and the Green Bank prior to
Okay, pause.
Pause. Yeah,
Uh,
you go.
So the Green Bank is handling the loan, but a third party, another bank is providing the funds for that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So in Connecticut, the Green Bank is acting as the program administrator.
Yes.
Okay.
And then again, we have that idea of the approved capital providers, which are the lenders for the loan.
Through the Green Bank.
Yes. So the Green Bank is the one who's accepting those applications and reviewing them from the property owners and then working with the third party lenders.
Now,
So what role do the third party lenders have in the contract? Is their contract with Green Bank or with the borrower?
It's like a borrower. On page 6.
Yeah, I have this, we're going through this, yeah.
we're doing it on the fly. Me neither.
Okay, so the capital provider would enter into a financial agreement with the property owner, after which they may enter into an administrative agreement with the Green Bank, and the Green Bank will then facilitate the benefit assessment lien and will work with the capital provider to collect and remit payments. And that's at the very top of page 6. Yeah, I apologize. I wrote this paper back in October.
Oh,
No, it's not your paper.
That's your paper. Yes.
It's the concept. Yeah. Raquel?
So these green banks, do they have any seed money from the state? Are they buying down interest rates on these loans?
I'm not exactly sure on that. I know that some of the green banks are known to be utilizing both private and public funds. As far as buying down interest rates, I'm not aware. I'm happy to get back to you on that if you like.
I think that was what Vita said they were going to be able to, well, actually, everybody said they would be able to do that, right? That they were going to be able to offer lower interest rates.
So this chunk
Yeah.
of money, the upfront lien is at a lower interest rate.
Yeah,
But
Because it's
secured.
secured by the property. It's not on the borrower, it's on the property. And it's a long-term loan. So both of those things, I think, drive down the interest rate.
Right. Right, because as I continue to try to boil this down in my mind, the fact that the property tax bill is just the mechanism that attaches the loan to the property as opposed to the borrower. It's attached to that actual physical property. And that makes it more secure. So they can offer a lower rate. I think I'm getting this.
with exception of if you have a business and you have to put in your personal equity, your personal financing to help protect the loan from the principal financer, in this case, the original money. So sometimes you have, sometimes when you finance for a business, you obligate your personal wealth, not just your business equity. Yeah.
Right, this avoids that very specifically.
Well, no, but anyway, it's the long-term interest rates and
The loan is attached to the property, not the bond.
right, but even the old our pace money that followed the similar mechanism, and there was very little pickup on that.
But there's other reasons for that. I don't think we can do it right now.
Well, okay, no, it's just the interest, whether the interest rate is subsidized or not
It's not subsidized.
by government money or how it gets to 4% rather than,
I don't think anybody had proposed that this be subsidized, as far as I know.
or if you're putting public money into your green bank,
It's not public money, it's private money.
it's a quasi.
It's a public entity, but it's private. Private, I good thing Chris is here, because he can correct me when I say something stupid. But I think that's how it goes. right?
Yeah, again, for the record, Chris D'Elia, so if they're using private sources of capital from the marketplace, you have to look at what that capital costs in the marketplace. That will drive your interest rates that you're going to lend out there. If you're supplementing it with public capital, for example, the 10% of Vermont program with
Right.
Richard Paycheck, he's willing to put that out at a lower interest rate. So it would subsidize potentially some loans out into the marketplace. The notion, I just want to go back to the way they do it in Connecticut is the private entity puts the money up, but the public entity does the servicing on the loan.
Mhm.
Just think about it that way. They're servicing that loan.
Mhm.
The public entity is not putting public money out there.
Yeah,
Okay,
but what also affects the interest rate is the terms of the loan.
True, but you're still it runs with the property, but the property is not an entity that's an eligible borrower. You're still that business is still being underwritten because that business is the one that is obligated to repay the loan. Property is just it's real estate. The real estate doesn't. I'm trying to describe.
Well, but whoever owns the real estate is responsible to pay the loan.
Correct, but they're using the property tax vehicle as the way to recapture. But that entity is still responsible for paying that loan, even though it runs with the property.
Yeah.
Is it almost fair to say the property is being used as phantom collateral?
Phantom collateral, well, you could say that, but it's being used as the vehicle for collection on the loan.
Yeah.
So if the owner of the property goes bankrupt or something, then the loan isn't being paid as long as the property taxes are being paid. But then presumably the bank is taking the ownership of the property.
Yeah.
And so is responsible for, another bank, the mortgage bank, whatever that's called, is taking ownership of the property and is responsible for the property taxes and the base loan.
And repaying the base
Right.
loan. Right.
Yep.
And they have to agree to take on the base loan to take possession of the property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a lower risk proposition
Yeah.
for the base loan.
And therefore a lower interest rate.
One would assume.
That's what makes it all work.
Mhm.
So it makes it all, well, it makes it all useful.
Hey, New York.
Thank you for letting us.
Yeah, thank you for
Please.
indulging us.
Oh, of course.
We're just trying to, this is not the finance committee.
Yeah, in case you can't tell, we're not the Commerce Committee.
Okay, so moving on to New York. New York State authorized CPACE legislation in 2009 and named the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, NYSERDA, as the authoritative agency. NYSERDA's duties under such legislation were to provide implementation guidance, certify contractors to perform energy audits, establish energy efficiency criteria, and to approve financing. The program is administered at the municipal level, except for New York City, by the Energy Improvement Corporation, EIC. EIC is a nonprofit local development corporation And all projects approved by EIC must comply with New York's Municipal Sustainable Energy Loan Program and NYSERDA CPACE guidance. Additionally, New York has established a state-sponsored investment fund. This kind of gets to the question we were asking earlier. So this investment fund within NYSERDA is called the New York Green Bank. This is publicly funded, and this green bank can be used for CPACE financing when traditional lenders are not available.
Okay.
Wow, a lot of different permutations of this.
But it has the same superior position in New York as we're envisioning in Vermont.
Yes.
The base loan is superior, only junior to uncollected property tax.
Yes, Representative. So in our research, we found that the financing terms, which is basically the bulk of the bill about the property lien and the priority and subordination and the mortgage holder consent, as well as some sort of municipal vote, are pretty consistent across most states that have implemented CPACE. And then if we have time, I did have an excerpt from a different memo that I wrote that goes over a few of the other commercial energy efficiency financing opportunities in the state. Yeah. Just to kind of compare and contrast.
Okay.
So for Vermont commercial and residential clean energy improvements, we have business energy loans offered by East Rise Credit Union. And I actually was able to check the interest rates this morning. So the interest rates would be 6.5 for energy projects and then 6.8 for solar projects, just as kind of a frame of reference. These loans can fund up to $50,000 and are offered at 10-year terms. While this may be a more accessible route, the term length and funding cap are much lower than with CPACE loans.
Sorry, what was the term in the 6.5%?
Yeah, 6.5 and then 6.8 for solar.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually know someone who works for East Rise Credit Union. I reached out to them this morning.
They have my solar loan. They have everybody's solar loan, right?
They've got my car loans.
My heating system loan.
Okay.
And then Vita offers a few different financing opportunities. So first would be the agricultural energy loan program. I mentioned this because farms are under the description of commercial entity in the bill and would be able to use CPACE financing. These loans are offered at market rates and term length is determined on cash flow, useful life of assets, and project viability. And then Vita also offers a commercial energy loan program. These loans are offered up to $6 million with a variable interest rate and $500,000 with a fixed market-based interest rate. And the term of the loan is determined on a case-to-case basis, and the loan generally only covers 60% of the project cost. So to kind of highlight the comparison I'm making there, compared to conventional loans, CPACE has much longer term lengths, up to 30 years in the bill as it's written now. We're reducing the individual payment amount because of that long term length. The financing is available for the entire cost of the project, which from what I've found, it's kind of rare for these types of loans. And the loan follows the property instead of the individual, which we've been discussing, which makes it a good option for large developers that may not wish to undertake the full value of the loan.
Okay. Again, not to put you on the spot. New Hampshire, have you looked into New Hampshire much?
Very briefly.
Okay. I was just curious how if you know how they defined resilience projects.
Yeah, I did look into that a little bit because I knew that it was a question raised by the committee.
Yeah.
So it seems like their definition of resiliency is pretty broad. And then they also do water projects, like improving water efficiency, which is a separate section.
Oh,
But
interesting.
they kind of follow a similar guidance of you just need to have somebody, a professional, say that it's a resilient improvement.
Okay. So broader resilience projects, and then as defined by a professional specific to that project, and then reducing water usage.
Yeah, let me pull it up just so I can
Okay.
make sure I'm correctly referencing. Okay, yeah. So on the New Hampshire Business Finance Authority website, which is the administrator in New Hampshire, they define a resilient, just to be clear, this isn't within the bill that was passed.
Oh,
But
okay.
they say resilience and improvements are improvements that increase the resilience of a property, including but not limited to air quality, snow and flood mitigation, energy storage and microgrids, alternative vehicle charging infrastructure, and fire and wind resistance,
Okay.
which would be separate from a water conservation improvement.
Okay. And we have a definition that I have not gone to find. And,
It's sent the link around to the
Great.
committee yesterday.
oh, perfect.
So it's-
Is it in my inbox?
Should be. I didn't see it. You didn't see it?
I didn't see it either.
All right.
Might be in your outbox.
Maybe I didn't do that. For a day, so. It's possible.
Okay. All right. Well, that is excellent. Do we have any additional questions for Bella? That was really helpful. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah,
Thank you so
congrats
much
on
for
your work
having me,
and thanks for
Representative.
testifying. Yeah, that was really helpful. Okay.
What's the Hedi? I got an old Hedi email. Remember what the house? All right, let's try this.
Okay, I don't.
That's the old one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, appreciate it.
Very good.
With the opportunity.
Oh, I got it. It's in there. Okay, shifting gears. To H600. I had mentioned yesterday that I wanted to, this is a bill that I introduced, that we haven't spent any time on at all. But I'm interested in walking through it and learning a little bit more about it and, taking the committee's temp on whether we could add it to, 202. So,
Would you be able to explain why you brought this bill forward?
yeah, we did a walk, yes. Why don't we do the walkthrough and then I'm happy to talk about it. I did my little intro pitch like at the beginning in January and I have all those notes. But in general, it's what I mentioned yesterday, which is that, appliances sold, and Ellen will be more helpful with this, but household appliances, basically, or commercial appliances have certain energy efficiency standards that are established at the federal level. And they, I guess, regulate or guide how energy efficient any appliance has to be. And during the last Trump administration, the Trump one, those standards were rolled back. But Vermont passed sort of proactive or responsive legislation to say we're going to stick to the current standards here in Vermont. And the legislature passed a bill and Governor Scott signed it. So this would contemplate doing that again. So ensuring, I guess, that our market isn't flooded with, cheaper, less efficient appliances. But let's hear from Ellen. She's the attorney. And she can walk us through it. And like I said, we haven't taken any testimony yet. And I'm not an expert on this policy either, just interested in learning more about it.
Ellen Tchaikovsky, Office of Legislative Counsel. So I'm here today on H600 as introduced, but the chair is also proposing H600 amendment, which I think is posted under my name.
I think, Alex, did we post that yet?
No. Yeah. So I'll start by giving some overview though of appliance efficiency. That would be helpful. So Vermont adopted appliance efficiency law in 2006. And initially it was a fairly short list of products that needed to have efficiency standards adopted for them by the Commissioner of Public Service. So the Department of Public Service is the agency involved here, and Chapter 74 of Title IX set up the intent of creating an efficiency program for appliances, as well as the procedure and the setting up the standards and protocols that the commissioner needed to adopt for these products via rule. At the time, the federal program didn't cover any of those products. And then later, the federal program, when it came into effect, covered those products. And the federal law, the Energy Policy and Conservation Act, has a preemption clause that says if no state law can regulate the same products as the federal government. And then, as the chair just mentioned, in 2017, the law was updated to include an additional set of products that are covered under the federal law and then incorporated by reference into the rule. But it also added a provision to address the preemption, which is in 2796F. And so the rules exist in Vermont, but they do not come into effect until the federal government itself takes action to repeal, revoke, or void the rules. And so they exist as a backstop for if there's federal action to get rid of the rules. Additionally, in 2018, another bill on appliance efficiency was passed in Vermont, adding another set of products that were not currently covered by the federal government. So in the last 20 years, Vermont has gone back and forth of having products that were not covered by the federal government, but then also having products that are covered, and then adding more products as products that will be covered by the Vermont efficiency standards. So the Department of Public Service updates its rule based on that and if there are federal changes. But again, the things that are covered by the federal law are not enforced at the state level. In the 2017 bill, a specific date was added of January 19th, 2017 to establish a date by which the code will be referenced if the federal law goes away. So that is what would be the law controlling moving forward if the federal government decided to no longer enforce the federal appliance efficiency standards. So H600 as introduced is
Sorry, can I stop?
Yeah.
Okay. So to try to boil this all down, since 2006, Vermont has had its own efficiency standards. So our first law was passed in 2006, saying these are the standards for a wide range of appliances. And DPS does the rulemaking on that. And we can have a whole list of products that are covered. And those might be the ones that are listed at the federal level, or we can add additional products that are not covered at the federal level. And the only consideration there is that if a product is listed at the federal level, we can't contravene or
contradict.
Contradict that.
And we also
So we can match the federal list, or we can add more, but we can't go against the federal list. And so the last action we took on this was in 2017 to say, hey, if these laws get rolled back or repealed at the federal level, we're going to keep our standards in place. And the reason that's okay is because if they get repealed, we're not contradicting federal standards. There is no more federal standard.
correct.
Okay. Great. And do you know if that happened? Were the federal standards rolled back during Prop 1?
It is a complicated procedural history that I am not an expert on. There was litigation over it. I think there was initially an attempt in the first Trump administration to roll things back, and there was litigation. So I don't think they were actually formally rolled back as initially proposed. And then there was additional litigation, specifically around light bulbs. And so there were multiple, there were multiple litigation under these provisions at the federal level.
So this is essentially, it would be a backstop in case something happens.
Some of it, yes. Some of it is additional standards that the federal government does not have.
Okay. All right. So some of H600. What's some?
Well, yeah, that I'm talking about the current law as it exists.
Oh, the current law. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
I'm caught up. Yeah, Rep. Campbell.
So, I, sorry, I did that really.
I also didn't finish explaining either what was going on, but if you
All right, maybe I should let you do that.
So-
Because I'm trying to understand what the difference is between what we're doing here, but you don't tell me.
Yes, so the federal statute is required to be updated every 8 years, I believe, and so the most recent update happened in 2025, and so H600 as initially introduced was doing two things. It was first striking through the list of products that were initially added to the statute that are now covered by the federal statute. So striking their reference because there is a catch-all category that cites to the federal law itself. And so most of what was in H600 as introduced is cleanup because it's redundant. And then the only substantive change is updating the date to reference the most recent update to the code. So, and that includes changes that were made to the code in 2025.
So, right. So referring back to did you say August? I'm sorry.
I just looked 2025 because that
I made up
litigated.
all right. So the substantive language links back to this 2025 update.
Yes, and so I think you did not make up August. So in the bill as introduced, it changes the date, which currently is the code as it existed on January 19th, 2017. H600 as introduced is referencing changing it to January 19th, 2025. However, there was the 2025 update did not take effect, I believe, on January 19th. And you should definitely hear from the advocates on this because there's some complicated history on when the updated regulation was formally adopted. I think it may have also been litigated. So August was a date that I think the advocates are also considering if using it as August 2025 would be more appropriate. But you can hear about that.
Okay.
I'll just say I have not worked on amending the appliance law before, and it is a little bit complicated with the overlay of the federal law. So I have been doing a lot of research on this, but there are questions I potentially can't answer about appliance efficiency.
Okay. So the last time we did this was in 2018. 2017.
Was that Aaron?
It was Aaron, because that was my first year. So in 2017, there was a pair of bills. This is very annoying, but there was a pair of bills, 411 and 410. 411 was passed in 2017, and then 410 was in 2018. 411 was the provision that created the federal backstop. So created the provision that said these will only take effect if at the federal level they're repealed or voided. And then the 2018 update added additional products that are currently not part of the federal system.
Okay.
Is that a question or a statement?
No, I'm not asked. I just want to make sure. I'm looking at the right.
Yes, the 2018, it was 410 became Act 139. In 2011, it was H 411 that became Act 42. And both sets of those laws had purpose statements. So if you look them up, they have purpose statements that basically repeat what I just said.
I will look that up. Alrighty, okay. So, right, so let's walk through, as you mentioned, the H600, as I introduced it, was like 12 pages long and had a lot of cleanup language. Which could certainly be an option. But I also wanted to look at a draft that rolled it down to its core nubbins, which is the date lookup. So shall we walk through the short version, basically? Okay, sure. Do you, and I'm sorry, I don't think that, I'm not sure I have it. I'm not sure the committee has it. Which is my fault. Okay,
May
yeah,
I apologize for coming in late, Madam Chair, so if I missed this already, I definitely will follow up afterwards, but this is very similar to the backstop language from 2017. We're just kind of belts and suspended, right?
Just updating
Is that a
the
word?
date.
Suspendering,
Just updating the date for the backstop.
right?
yeah. So taking what we did last time and putting in the new date.
Well, this was this was a curveball.
I'm sending the amended version.
It's posted under my name today.
Oh, great.
It's draft 1.1 dated 4/7/26. It's only 3 pages.
Great. Okay, so this is the 2018 bill. Essentially with new, I mean, this is that statute with new dates. Right?
The 2017 bill and 2018 bill amend the same statute.
Okay,
But in 2017, that is when you created the federal backstop with the date provision. So it is amending what happened in the 2017 bill.
okay. I think we may have achieved walkthrough status. Walkthrough commencement.
So in the draft of the amendment on page 1, the only change in this language is on page 1 on line 21. And so the commissioner, in the rules, the commissioner shall adopt minimum efficiency and water conservation standard for each product that is subject to a standard under 10 CFR sections 430 and 431, as those provisions existed on January 19th, 2017. Now it's changing it to 2025.
Okay, so that's the existing federal law.
Yes, so section 430 and 431 are the code of regulations that identify the products and the standards for testing protocol for those products.
Nationally.
Yes.
Okay.
So on pages 2 and 3, no changes are being made, but that is the language that captures and describes what the federal preemption process is here. So it establishes that if the federal preemption goes away, these are enforceable only if the federal government has them withdrawn, repealed, or otherwise voided. And so the standard for that is in there in the statute, just to show. You don't need to include this in the bill if you don't want to, but I can walk through it with you if you'd like.
Yeah, let's walk through, because we talked about that. And while it doesn't need to be in the draft, because we're not changing anything about it, it provides clarity, which is helpful to me anyway, explaining that, well, explain what it explains.
Sure, it's the process by when you know something is no longer covered by the federal preemption.
Okay.
So on page 2, this is 9 VSA 2796 implementation for the applied standards. So when federal preemption under 42 USC 6297, so the Energy Policy and Conservation Act, applies to a standard adopted pursuant to this chapter for a product. This standard shall become enforceable on the occurrence of the earliest of the following: the federal energy or water conservation standard for the product under 42 USC chapter 77 is withdrawn, repealed, or otherwise voided. However, this shall not apply to any federal energy or water conservation standards set aside by a court of competent jurisdiction upon petition of a person who will be adversely affected. So there are two primary ways that a law at the federal level can be voided. That is by an act of Congress, or through the standard process. You go through amendment or repeal, or a court can strike down a law, usually because it's unconstitutional or has another issue. This is saying the Vermont standards will only come into effect if the federal government itself takes action to withdraw, repeal, or void, not if a court strikes down the law as unconstitutional. So those are two different processes. And this is just being clear that it's if the federal government takes this action. Okay. So the other occurrence could be a waiver of federal preemption issued under 42 USC 6097. So the preemption statute itself has a process by which a state can request a waiver of preemption. And there are a number of steps that a state could go through. I don't know how easy or hard that is, but I don't think that's really at play here in Vermont. I'm not sure. Okay. Next, the federal standard for general service lamps shall be considered to be withdrawn, repealed, or otherwise voided within the meaning of this subsection if it does not come into effect on January 20, 2020, pursuant to the action. So this is another section that could actually be struck if you wanted to do more cleanup, because this was a time-sensitive provision about whether or not the general service lamps provision was going to go into effect. And general service lamps are classic light bulbs. It covers a couple different, many different types of light bulbs, but it's not the unusual ones.
It does. Just a regular light bulb.
Okay. All right, so again, this entire section is existing law, which we included for context, which is perhaps further confusing to all. Okay, excellent. Or to me. No, I get it. All right.
And then this is the last provision at the top of page 3. When a standard adopted pursuant to this chapter becomes enforceable under this section, a person shall not sell or offer for sale in the state a new product subject to the standard unless the efficiency or water conservation of the new product meets or exceeds the requirements set forth in the standard. So that's what would happen.
What it's all about.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Rep. Tori.
I don't know if you can answer this on, but since the feds just updated in 2025, is it likely that the department doesn't have new appliances that aren't already in the federal?
The Department of Vermont.
Yeah, Vermont's PSD.
I'm sorry.
I thought I heard something about appliances can get added, and that you did that in 2017, for equipment that wasn't in the federal, and that they do it by rulemaking.
So there are additional provisions under Chapter 74 that the commissioner does have authority to adopt. The commissioner has some authority to adopt additional rules for things that are not covered. I don't know off the top of my head, but there is the commissioner has rulemaking authority. I'm not sure how broad it is. Oh, okay. So in 9 VSA section 2797, the commissioner may adopt rules to revise efficiency standards for these products listed in 2794 in order to make the standards conform to standards in effect in other states, where to do so is in the interests of the electrical energy consumers of the state. In considering increased standards, the commissioner shall set efficiency standards upon a determination that the increased efficiency standards would serve to promote energy conservation in the state and would be cost effective for consumers who purchase and use those products. No increased efficiency standard shall become effective within 1 year following the adoption of any amended rules establishing those increased standards. The commissioner may also apply for a waiver of federal preemption in accordance with the procedures for any product regulated by the federal government. So that is additional authority for them to adopt for other products. I don't think that the Vermont rules have been updated since 2018 though.
Yeah, Rep Southworth.
How does this tie in with the federal energy star program?
So I have some information on that. So I believe that the Federal Energy Star program is voluntary and that some of the standards that are in Vermont law that are not currently covered by the Department of Energy's the 430 and 431 list. I do think they use the Energy Star voluntary level of efficiency as part of the Vermont standard. So they are incorporated by reference into the Vermont standard for products that are not covered by the other federal program, I believe.
That's a good question. It was something when I was first considering introducing this, I looked into that and took some notes, which I have.
Okay, because that.
But we need to hear about that. I know,
That program's been fully funded for this year.
yeah, and
Plus an additional amount too.
I think that we would have to take testimony. I know the standards of the floor, like you cannot sell below this. And then Energy Star is the voluntary seal of approval, but I didn't know that any of the Energy Star stuff was incorporated into the Vermont standards. We'd have to learn more about that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I know. Ellen, thanks for walking us through that. Appreciate it. Yeah, Rep. Kleppner?
Can I ask council a different Vermont energy question unrelated to this?
Sure.
Sure. When the federal 30% investment tax credit goes away for stuff that isn't safe harbored by July 4th, do you know, is the Vermont ITC, I think was 24% of the federal or something like that. Is that also going away?
I don't know.
Thank you.
All right. Ellen, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And you said that's posted already on the website. All right. Thanks for your time. So we have oh, hi. I thought you might be Bob.
Yes.
So do you want to just move on? You ready?
To you folks.
Super.
Okay.
Is that okay with you guys if we just keep going? Okay, great.
I'll just
So we are going to, as we often do, abruptly switch gears and go back to CPACE.
give me a minute. please.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know. Signed on to Zoom because I'm doing some showing. Okay. I think I'm on now.
Yes, you are. You're a co-host. You can share now.
Okay, y'all ready for me? Well, appreciate you having me in this morning. I'm Bob Flint. I'm the Executive Director of Springfield Regional Development Corporation. We're the RDC in Southern Windsor County, also representing the RDCs of Vermont, and here to support S-138 and talk specifically about a project that our organization is working on in Springfield that we believe could benefit from this. And this is going to be the show and tell if I can make the tech work.
Great.
There we go. How about that?
Nice.
All right. So this is Park Street School, which was Springfield's original high school, part of which the part you're looking at was built in 1898. The part to the right was 1920-ish. It served as the town's high school from 1898 until roughly, the late 60s, 1968. And then it became the town's grade school until about 2007, 2008. Yes, I went there a long time ago. And it's a building that's near and dear to the community. Okay, oops, that didn't switch. There we go. It didn't switch. So that's the back part of the school. And just giving you some sense of the magnitude, the architecture, and note the windows. And note the part of the building with the trees on it. That's the current boiler house, which is going to be the focus of what I'm talking about here as it relates to S-138. As you can see, folks dressed up back in the day. This was a town meeting that was held in the historic auditorium that I'll give you another shot of. This is from the 40s, I'm guessing. And there's a shot of the auditorium. Beautiful 500-seat proscenium style auditorium that hasn't really been used, well, since 2007, 2008, because it's not sprinkled and capacity is limited to 50 people, but it's a jewel. As is the gymnasium, which I commonly say is like right out of Hoosiers.
Yeah.
You can't build something like that now. So SRDC purchased this building in 2018 after the creation of Black River Innovation Campus, which is a project Matt Dunn, some of you may know, and I created for tech-related incubation and entrepreneurship in Springfield. We thought the school, besides being a cool building, made sense because from a placemaking point of view, it is just up the hill from downtown Springfield and Main Street Springfield. So if we're successful, this building will be a center of activity that will flow down into the downtown. It's also a few hundred feet from the federally qualified health center in Springfield, or Standard Health. So since that time, we've amalgamated $7 million plus in funding a variety of state and federal programs, and we're undergoing a variety of site and code related improvements, such as sprinklering the auditorium, for example. But the piece that's really vexed us is how to deal with the energy plant, how to deal with this guy and the one to the right. These are 45-year plus old boilers. The one you're looking at specifically right now is a coal boiler that was converted to oil. So, and here's another shot of the two boilers. The pictures don't really show the scale. You couldn't fit them in this room, for example. You fit one of them in this room if you raise the ceiling. So, sorry, enough show and tell. So currently we're burning over 30,000 gallons of oil a year, just keeping heat on for the building and to allow for the current uses, which occupy about 10% of the building. Parks and Recreation Department still uses the gymnasium for youth activities with under 50 people in there. The Black River Innovation Campus is in there, but that's it. I've got 85,000, 90,000 feet of empty space that we're preserving through at least maintaining some heat in there. There are no zones. I can't turn off heat here and have heat here. And
Wow.
The distribution system is ancient and flawed, to be polite. So our energy consultants have shown us that if we were to convert this to, say, an all-electric building, the annual carbon reduction would be roughly 1 million pounds a year, as well as there'd be an economic benefit as well. So, as I think it was Megan Sullivan the other day stated in her testimony, taking on something with a scale is tough enough when there were federal resources and incentives and so forth in place, but it's even more challenging now. But it's more than just replacing a heating system. You saw the building, you saw the windows. The building's 100 years old. The windows are 100 years old. Not a whole lot of insulation. So we could put in the most contemporary energy system in the world, and you're still just hemorrhaging energy. We need to update the building envelope to create an efficient HVAC system, including high density insulation, high efficiency windows, ceiling, and so forth. The town of Springfield is a partner in this project, and it's a natural for them conceptually to be able to designate this building as a district under the legislation. They would continue to utilize the gym and that auditorium for public use. They are contemplating currently relocating some town services to the building, potentially including a senior center, for example. So we are partners in this project. And as we have gone through this adventure together, we have tried to figure out a way to make the energy needs of this building work. S-138 seemingly would allow for that. In terms of specifics, we agree with previous testimony about the need to utilize as completed value as opposed to the current assessment.
there's no way the map works with current assessment of that building, for example. We also support, excuse me, here's what the tweet that Joan Goldstein of VITA mentioned last week about projects meeting applicable code requirements or exceeding them through higher performance design and having that flexibility. So large commercial projects are inherently complicated anyway, but redevelopment of older facilities add other layers. It wouldn't be a surprise to see older school buildings redeveloped in the future, depending on what happens with older school buildings, for example. The proposed pay structure would provide a mechanism to tackle this piece of redevelopment projects like ours in a way that's flexible enough to accommodate the rest of the eventual capital stack, and which is kind of a work in progress, right? We understand this is a tool that's been used effectively in other states, and I think it could be a great resource for the fund, and appreciate the committee's consideration.
Well, I won't ask you about the third party administrator.
Yeah, I can,
So can you
Well-
speak to that? Okay, we've been having
I'm aware.
we're stuck on the concept of who oversees this program and who serves as the administrator.
Yeah, so I think, so a couple thoughts on that, and I don't have to be dangerous, so I mean, that's, so if I'm out of school or whatever.
We don't,
please
yeah,
stop me.
we know enough to be supremely dangerous. So why don't we hear what you have to say?
So I mean, I think when Joan was in, she probably spoke about project-specific administrators. So for
Yeah.
example, it's not going to be a spoiler alert that Vita will likely be involved in this project at some point.
Right.
So it would be logical for Vita to have that role for this specific project. Does that mean Vita is the third-party administrator for everything in the state? I don't think they're interested in that. And
Nobody's interested in it.
the other logical dance partner, in my personal opinion, and I haven't spoken with them, so they can slap it outside, is Efficiency Vermont, who also has been involved in this and will likely be involved in this. And perhaps that is consistent with their vision. Again, I'm not representing whether they have an interest or not in it. I don't think they do yet, but in my personal opinion, that would be a logical place to go.
What is the bill currently? Well. Okay. That's helpful.
Are we hearing purpose to what? Yeah, on this.
Yes, I'm afraid we're gonna have to insist.
Give them a heads up. It's my fault.
Yeah, no, it's not your fault.
Mhm.
Okay. All righty. Do we have any more questions? About the economic, oh, yeah,
So is this gonna have some public bonding in it? The
Potentially.
city,
I think there's still some moving parts in terms of what the town's role specifically is. Is it a condo? Do they take ownership of parts of the building? Is it a long-term lease? What's the capital stack for the town's piece of this? We do have 2 CDS awards that are in this project that are addressing chunks of,
CDS.
congressionally directed spending, aka earmarks. So we're trying to drive down the cost of what the town's participation would be, and then the town needs to determine whether or not they go for bonding later this year.
Just want to offer a comment. Thank you, Bob, for coming in. I think 10 years ago, Commerce did a tour, field trip to Springfield. Just the amount of work that you all are doing and the amount of need for tools like this. I know, so thank you for
No, I
coming in.
appreciate that.
And it would be, Springfield's a great tour. If we ever,
Well, and you mentioned that meeting of the Commerce Committee at that time was in the building where the federally qualified health center is, a few hundred feet from what you just saw on the screen.
okay,
So,
yeah, Rick Howland.
so you got some money from the federal government, you're gonna have some municipal bonding perhaps,
Mhm.
and then you're still gonna have this third party lender
Correct.
in there.
We're
And
gonna have a lot of other stuff too.
right, and so there's no question that the CPACE is superior to all other lenders. But then in subsequent lenders, do they each take equal positions? Or do they?
I
or
would
do they-
defer to
or they-
people smarter than me to figure that out.
Yeah, that just,
Man, I think that one of my terms is sausage making. You don't want to know how it's made. You just want the end result.
yeah.
So
Wow.
some of the things you just cited are among the sausage, and how the sausage is organized, I guess, is a question. I kind of view, to be honest, we were hoping that the CHIP program would allow for this kind of use, and arguably the statute was written in the way that it could have, but the rules have not to date gone that way. So to me, this is like a tip. And so the money would be collected by the municipality irrespective of the debt service, and it stays with property from my understanding.
Mhm.
I'm not a banker.
So we've been trying to get Pepsi in to talk about, well, I mean, I think to talk about the nobody wants to do it role.
Hmm.
I mean, they do chip, right?
Yes, and I'm not. Efficiency Vermont makes more sense to me than Pepsi, personally.
Because
Pepsi's got plenty to do already with chip and regular TIF and the veggie program, with a staff of, 2 to 3 people.
Rep. Howland?
Does this building have the same, restrictions on it that some years ago, one of the manufacturing people down by the river, the federal government got involved and the windows all had to be architecturally approved, and so you saw that picture,
Yeah.
and you could make them energy efficient windows, but you couldn't reduce the size of the window.
So I'm aware of the building you're speaking about, and
Years, I
you're right. It's the one Representative Sevilla was just talking about, where the FQHC is with the original Fellows Gear Shaper. That project chose to take federal historic tax credits, which put that constraint that you're speaking about the tension between historic windows versus common sense. So we have elected not to take federal historic tax credits for that very reason. Obviously, from an architectural aesthetic point of view, we want to make sure the building still retains the character that I grew up with, right? But it also needs to be practical. So that was a decision we made early on.
Smart decision.
Okay. Yeah, right.
So you might also do the chip, or you think,
So the right-hand side of that building from the picture in the back would eventually be hopefully 25 housing units to support the entrepreneurship program. We are probably not going to pursue CHIP for that specific project because we've already done the stuff that CHIP would have paid for.
I see.
So if you saw a live shot of that place today, and we all dug up. We've already done the stormwater. We're putting in new electrical service. We're doing a lot of stuff. Brownfields because it's Springfield.
brownfield meaning it's contaminated.
Sure. Yeah, we had, so, I mean,
School lot was contaminated.
so a quick story, if I just could indulge for a moment. So I showed you the old boilers. The original heating plant for the school was in a parking lot down below the perspective you saw there, and the pipes ran up. So when they were doing the excavating, even though we had emptied the tanks and cleaned those tanks and life was good, we thought, when they were digging the parking lot this past fall, they punctured some dry wells, which released number 4 sludge, which added to the existing brownfield conditions on the site.
I was suspecting coal ash from the 2019 era.
Yeah, knock on wood, we haven't had that yet.
Oh, no, but early oil, but no.
So anyway, yeah, we spent about $1 million on brownfield cleanup on that site.
Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for your consideration.
Appreciate, yeah.
Appreciate your
Yeah.
time.
No, we're excited about I think we're all excited about the bill.
This is gonna, so you're converting to electric heat, you're converting to heat pump type,
Yeah, with rooftop units and
but not resistance, not electric resistance heat.
I don't believe so.
No, that's,
Yeah. And we have explored geothermal. The site doesn't really lend itself to that.
The heating system now with those big boilers, is it air or water?
Steam.
Steam, yeah. the heat pump conversion will be interesting.
And so anyway, I think I digressed too. I showed you the pit where it was, right? It was that building with the trees painted on it.
Yeah.
So that's coming down this summer because the new entrance for the building will be there. It's going to dig down and come in at ground level on what's now the cafeteria. Or was the cafeteria.
Good for accessibility.
Correct.
It's the building elevators.
Funny you mentioned that. The old non-working elevator is being decommissioned as we speak. And the new elevator has been ordered to go into the building later this summer.
You guys are spending some money, aren't you?
We are.
That's great.
That's,
Wonderful. I mean, wonderful you found the resources.
Well, we're trying to find more.
Yep.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Appreciate your time.
Yes.
All right, so Alex, testimony discussion.
Thank you.
We have a resilience definition to talk about, so I don't think we need to really hear from anybody on that. I think, did VEPC, that's the Vermont Economic Progress Council,
Yeah,
have they,
no, and I followed up twice now, so I don't know.
okay,
I don't know.
can you write again and copy me?
Yeah.
And then we definitely need to hear from Efficiency Vermont.
I also reached out to him last week, Peter Walk. And
Okay, you
yes,
can copy me.
okay, I'll reach out again.
Great. So, is that it? So, I guess okay, so we're trying to hear from VEPC, not trying to hear. We will hear from VEPC, we will hear from Efficiency Vermont. We have a definition of resilience to discuss. And, my question is, should we all just read and discuss the follow-up testimony we had from Amanda Castle Green about a third-party administrator, or should we ask her to come back in?
So I still really don't understand why we're continuing to take testimony when it's gonna go to Commerce. And
Okay, go ahead.
on top of that, when we get all these people in and we hear them, Commerce is gonna drag them back in too.
Yes.
We all know what this bill is aiming for, which doesn't seem like an issue, but it doesn't really. We can't really weigh in on the commerce side of it because they're gonna look at it and do what they do. Or it's for energy efficiency and we know that. But short of that, what are we doing with it?
So we need to provide language to Commerce that we've taken a straw poll on and that we think we're done with. So I'm not there yet, quite. I don't think we need to like overhaul this or beat it to death, but we are gonna need to, it's our bill. And so we are gonna need to send language to Commerce that we stand up on the floor, maybe even to present the results of our straw poll. So,
In your mind, the two issues that aren't good enough yet to send over are resilience and third-party administration.
yep. Yeah, so if we can get these folks in, then we can just decide what we think. Then we take our straw poll, then we hand it off to Commerce and we go in there and present it and say, okay, here's what we did, here's what we changed. Here are the issues we think you should really take a look at, but here is our work. And we may get this additional testimony and decide we're not changing a word. I don't know. Or we might add the definition of resilience and toss it over. But right now, I'm not sure. I'm not ready to take a straw poll personally, because I feel like we've got a little bit more we need to think about. Yeah, Rector?
Is the language that Rep Morrow shared on resilience, is that in statute or is that just something within the strategy?
That was just in the strategy. Although I sent around the New Hampshire statute, which
Let me know.
if you want to look at that.
Yeah.
Both of those things.
So I feel like if we do nothing else, we could add a definition of resilience. And I do think, Rep. Southworth, I do think if we're going to designate a third-party administrator, I would feel more comfortable handing that off over to Commerce. But I want to at least say we wrapped our heads around it.
Yeah, and I don't like beating ourselves up or beating up people, bringing them in here to testify in our committee when they're gonna have to do the same thing over there.
Well,
And they are the ones who are specifically adept at doing these types of bills where we're not.
no, we're not,
Finance,
but
but energy.
Well, energy is only the topic. It's not the main part of the bill.
right.
It's only the topic of what it is. Everything else is commerce.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm struggling to understand why we're continuing to go down this road on this when it is commerce and economic development that bill is absolutely geared for.
So, not to open up a hornet's nest here, but, let me see if I can.
We have faith in you.
Exactly. I feel quite, everybody put your protective bee hat on. Yes.
But so, I'm speaking off the cuff. I haven't really thought hard about this, but sorry, pull that finger back also, Representative Southworth. But efficiency, so if Efficiency Vermont were to be one of these, I think there are potentially tier 3 implications, tier 3 of the res implications.
I didn't figure.
I don't know if, actually, let me take it back. I don't think that there are. I wonder if there could be. And so, which I have not really thought about. So that's just my way of saying, I think it's okay for us to think about the financing because there's a lot of obligation and money that is being put forward. I don't think there are a lot of commercial, well, I'm going to stop talking now. I just wanted to say, I think there's some relevance to us thinking a little bit about financing. I agree with you that commerce should, but we might maybe want to provide some input, or maybe we don't.
And we're almost done. Like, to be clear, I'm not envisioning 80 more hours of testimony. I think we get the final folks in, do a walkthrough, take a straw poll and send it off to Commerce.
Well, and it was suggested by the guy named Mr. Flint. And also I talked to Chris Neely in the hallway for a second, that maybe EVT would be an appropriate program administrator for a program that relies on efficiency and cost effectiveness calculations. And if that's the case, if they are the appropriate administrator, that does it to energy policy, which is this committee's portfolio. So yeah, I think it seems like we would want to hear from them their thoughts on performing that role. Also, seems like the administrator role is mainly a bureaucratic kind of thing. You're making sure that you have the documents and then you're sending out bills. And, it's well, and you can see why no one wants to do it.
Yeah. I'm not even looking at the language right now. Who do we have? I'm sorry, I've
got the language up.
okay.
And what it
So
says
who?
about administrators. So
Yeah, what it says now about administrators, and I was interested to see that all 3 of the other states had an entity that was approving lenders. That actually felt important to me. Is that in our bill?
So our
Like vetting
definition-
and approving.
Yeah, section 3277,
Yeah.
C-PACE program administration, an entity that administers the commercial property assessed clean energy program or C-PACE program under this subchapter shall be referred to as a program administrator. A municipality, a public agency, or a private entity may serve as a program administrator. However, we talked about this. A capital provider or lender
Right.
shall not serve as a program administrator in a municipality where it is also lending. A municipality that has adopted CPACE, a CPACE district may enter into a contract with an entity to serve as the administrator or to administer the functions of the CPACE program for the municipality, or serve as the program administrator itself to administer the functions of the CPACE program, including entering into agreements, et cetera.
So there's nobody like the other states have saying, here's the approved list of lenders. Like, do we need that? And maybe that is a question for Commerce. It could be, Mike, that we don't tie every bow on this bill, that we turn it over and say there's a big issue that we haven't
Yeah,
resolved.
it just seems almost like we've done it backwards. Should have gone to them first and then to us. And
Well,
The bill
I
does,
But
they
it
could have
didn't.
figured out
So,
that, but
I mean,
it just seems like
here it
we're
is.
trying to fix stuff that Commerce is going to address and may change everything that we've come up with or done.
the bill
they
also
might, or they
says,
could build on our work. I mean,
the bill
yeah.
also says DFR shall consult with relevant stakeholders, including the League of Cities and Towns, VITA, Efficiency Vermont, and agencies from other states with CPA programs in order to identify appropriate entities to serve as program administrator.
that's right. We have a study in there, basically.
So it's on DFR to,
Figure that out. That's right. So we do
But
address it.
nothing to approve lenders.
Mm-mm.
That is something just to flag for Commerce.
Yeah,
It sounds like there might be some questionable lenders out there that other states are trying to avoid.
yeah,
screen out.
maybe. Okay, all right. So what is the arc of this?
Oh,
I mean, I have markup for tomorrow, so maybe that's that.
I appreciate that we got this bill because it's really great to see that there's a tool out there
Yeah,
and that it includes resilience, not a lot of states have that yet. So I appreciate hearing that testimony directly.
yeah. Okay. If it's okay with everybody, I know we have testimony at 10:30. Could we just take a 5-minute, could we go up live, take a 5-minute break?